Hey, Forex Fortune Hunters, Tom Wilmot, croaky voice, Sunday morning, but got an extra cup of coffee, and today we're going to talk about Fidelity Active Trader Pro, that crazy charting system and how to use it. And we're going to explore also about options with Fidelity and how you can pull down the options chain and identify where would be a nice entry point as you look at your multiple moving averages. So hold on to your hats. We'll get started in just a minute. Okay, fortune hunters, let's get into it. Usually, of course, we're talking about the Forex marketplace, and we have in this website and the YouTube channel, Vineyard FX, we have a number of videos, of course, that are related to the book that we did about Forex on Amazon.com, and that was the amazing Zealander Fly Trap Forex trading system, so get a copy. $3.99, you can't miss. If you're new to Forex or just would like some information about how to do some of these strategies with the multiple moving averages, it'll be an easy read for you. In any event, talking about Fidelity Active Trader Pro has a couple of different reasons. First of all, I use that as a brokerage firm for my IRA and trade some options in that. And obviously can't do that in MetaTrader in the U.S. So basically what we've got going on here is an opportunity to show you how you can use those same kind of moving average templates that we use in MetaTrader to try to predict where it would be appropriate to enter any kind of a trade, whether it's just a simple purchase or sale of equities, or whether it's to do something more complicated with your options strategies. An excellent opportunity with Fidelity because their brokerage execution is really great, and so what they miss in this charting package, I think they make up for in terms of the capabilities they have to execute your trades in the options market. And so that's it. Plus, they have great research if you're into the fundamentals as well. So let's take a quick peek here. What we've got on the chart right here is Comcast. And Comcast has obviously been in an uptrend as the whole market. This is a daily chart, and it runs all the way back to, July of 2018. You can see here this plunge that we had in the December time frame as we headed into the new year, and then the recovery. There was pretty much a period of consolidation in January, up and down activity as we began, and then you can see our multiple moving averages here did curl up to the north, so that now we have, instead of resistance as we were facing here, we have support here all the way along. And so in order to have the optimum trade entry, you really want to be down in the bands, as I call them. And now we've reached a top, and we've been in a position where the whole market has been just kind of touchy-feely here as we head into the sell in May and go away kind of time frame. So we're headed into Memorial Day. That's this weekend. And so as a result, now we've got to take a look at where we're headed next. But that's a separate issue. Let's just review a couple of the basic charting issues that we would like to have you help. If you haven't seen some of the other videos that we've done on Fidelity ATP, this is going to be a good review for you. We have a number of different indicators here. First of all, we have all of our multiple moving averages, and you can see those are across the top here and then down into this area. If you go to this line here, you can see the open, high, low, close data for whichever bar you're on, as you can see, tracking along. Those numbers in the upper left-hand corner change. Just to review, we have, I start out with a 12 EMA, run to a 24 EMA, something of that sort, and then our orange dashed line is probably 47 or 50. I like to have that underneath. So you don't have to have this many multiple averages. I like it for the visual impact. It doesn't change any of the pricing structures for sure, so if you'd like to minimize this, if you come to tools and use, let's see if I've got another one here that would be equally as good. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, here's another indication of it. This is also the daily chart, so no change there. We have it in a slightly different time frame. That's why there are more candles. So probably what I did here was to have a 1 month or 3 month view. Let's see what we've got going on. No, that's 1 month. You come here. Once you've got your daily here, you can pick the time frame that you'd like to see how many candles would be on the chart. So here's 6 months, and that's a little better. And that shows you this December low, right back in here into January, and then the consolidation period. And interestingly enough, it's pretty much the same for a number of the leading indicators. I'm sorry, symbols. I'll show you here too. This was the same situation. I was looking at it yesterday for Amazon. We'll switch over to the Amazon chart, same area. Notice the consolidation that occurred here in that January to February time frame before we had a nice move to the north. Now, what happens in this particular case from a charting point of view is that we've gone to set up a number of different chart patterns, and then you can save them here under whichever names are appropriate. So if you want to switch back and forth, you can go to another chart with a different pattern. So that's available to you here in this symbol right here, the diskette symbol. The settings symbol has a slightly different situation here. Candlesticks, you could do point and figure if you wanted to. This one right here, you can see that would bring up the point and figure kinds of overhead, the overhead high-low price bars. And you can change your colors. You can talk about the watermark opacity, which is that symbol situation down here. So if you want to make this lighter or darker, you can do it likewise with the grid. So those are a couple of the things there. Now, often you get confused. If I were to come back and use a different one of the you can see there it gets stacked. Notice that up in this area we might want to give ourselves a little more room on the top to view what's going on. Now there is a line, but sometimes you have to go into your indicators to find it, and as soon as you can see that bar changing, my cursor changing into that up and down arrow, that's where you have now attached yourself to the line, and you can click on it, left click on it, and then drag down and bring your bars down. And you can see over here it's easier to see the line, but don't get discouraged if you've got a number of symbols going on, indicators going on up here. You just have to drive your cursor up into them and then do your left click and hold. We'll pull this back a little bit to show how that works. And then down in the lower pane, you can see we have another indicator. I use RSI, and I have my 45-55 band right in here so that I can tell what's going on. Now notice that we're getting a little tricky in this area in terms of what's actually going to happen. We had a failed move to the upside. We've had a pullback. So this period here in late May is kind of a confusing one, and sometimes better to just stay out when that happens and wait for some resolution, unless you want to drop down to a lower time frame, and at that point you'd have a zoom in on what the price action was, and it might be a little clearer. Okay, let's come back to Comcast, because that was pretty clear. And what we're going to do now is go up here to the Options tab, as I mentioned to you. First of all, the idea is very simply that if you have an up pointing set of moving averages, they're stacked one on top of another with the shortest ones to the north, then you've got support down below and a slingshot potential. So in this case with Comcast, we had a price level which was down in here, and if you look up in this area right here, once again when I'm here, we can see that our low on this was 38.14, and up here our high on this bar was 40.52. So that was a very nice move if you were doing an options trade on a daily basis. You could think about weeklies, you could do whatever, and if you were doing monthlies, even if it were to go out over this period of time, you'd still be in a position where you knew you had an up-moving kind of set of multiple moving averages. Okay, so now without further ado, sorry to drone on here, options chain. Here you go, the whole bunch of them that's going on. Options chain. And this will bring up an empty bar because it doesn't know yet which options chain you want. So if you wanted an options chain for another security, it's easy enough to do. Now in this case, if we click here on this down arrow, we get the same watch list that we've been having before. But over here, we can use the link tool, link to orange, and see as the Comcast symbol comes right up. Notice that in this area we have the expirations weekly, and then June 21st is the monthly. If you do not want to see them, you simply click here and it goes away, and then it'll drop to the next one, which is the June option. Okay, and you can adjust your strikes and so forth. But let's go back just to the calls. We're not interested in puts because we don't want to take a counter trend trade unless you were going to sell put credit spread, but that's a little advanced. We'll talk about that in a second. Bottom line is, let's just go to the simple calls. Notice here are all of your various option strategies, iron condor, butterflies, and so forth. For the time being, let's just concentrate on calls if you're getting used to this. Bottom line here is now we've gone to June 7th. Let's say we want to go out all the way to the 21st, and so here is our 21st. Open this up a bit. Obviously, if you have a couple of monitors going, you can move these around. And in fact, let me quickly tell you about that. If you right-click here, it pops up, and that would be in this bar. You'd have a float window, and then you could click on that, and you can drag it then and move it into your second monitor so you can keep things straight. But we won't bother with that for right now because we're working with our video recorder here. Okay, so now we're in a situation where we have these strikes, and the current pricing on this is $42.67. So as a result, we have, and now it's the weekend, so I don't have any data in this area here, excuse me, for the day low and day high because Friday's long gone. But we do still have a temporary bid ask, and so you can see that's available to you. If you are going to day trade this and aren't worried about being tagged as a day trading account and have more than 25,000 in your account, then you can maybe even do some early options, and you can watch this to see what your day high and day low were to see if there's any kind of an opportunity to move these numbers during a particular scalping period. Okay, so anyway, let's take a look at a 42. 134 to 136 would be the option. Now, if we simply click on this banner right here, this menu bar over here, notice also, though, 42.5, high level of volume and open interest here. And so that might be one that you wanted to check out in terms of this monthly operation, monthly expiration. So let's click on this, and we're maybe going to buy to open a call at the 42.50 level. And then basically down here, we pull this bar over. Here is our thing, our order entry screen. This is the symbol. We're going to buy to open. We plug in our quantity. We have an order type. That would be a limit order, so as not to get goofed up with some kind of weird volume spike, and so forth. Don't have to worry about any other kind of issues. This was 106, the last tick, and so basically you'd want to put in your order type and your if we go to limit, you can see it'll pop up a new limit order number. Okay, day only, good till canceled. So if you enter an order and you are going to be away and you'd like to enter an order for fulfillment later on, you can enter that good till canceled order and so forth. So those are all your options. So that gets us into the situation here where we'd like to think about, let's take this and we'll downsize this. And when we do that, it appears down here in the tools in use, so we haven't lost it. So let's see, that 42.67, that would give us, you know, a range of opportunity down here in this area. If we had a pullback to this level here, which is a 34 EMA, that would be one of the areas that you could use as a support area. And if you were doing a put credit spread, you might want to put your sell your put down here and then buy protection just below it. So those are the issues. Now notice again that this is kind of crawled back up into the ceiling here. So we're going to drag this down just so that we keep it, notice the difference between modify, that indicator, versus getting up here and finding there's our screen, and we're going to bring it down to here. Okay, so those are some basics on how to get started with this Fidelity Active Trader Pro. I hope that was helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments about next steps, please leave them below. Please subscribe to our channel. Let us know if you like this particular series of videos by liking them or hitting the alert button down below to get news about new postings, and we'll be happy to help you. Meanwhile, check out also fxfortunehunter.com. You can send email through that site to me as well. Look forward to working with you in the future, and once again, good trading. Now, let's get some profits and some pips.